Would cutting Canadian oil actually help the climate? It's a question that sparks a lot of debate. But let's look past the headlines and dive into the real-world complexities. This isn't about taking sides. It's about understanding the global energy system, the economics, and what the data tells us. Join me for a 20-question reality check as we explore this critical issue from every angle. Chapter 1: Global Demand and Supply Leakage. The world runs on energy, and for now, a large part of that energy comes from oil. Global demand is a massive, ongoing force. So, what happens if a major, reliable supplier like Canada suddenly turns off the taps? The demand doesn't just vanish. Other countries would step in to fill the void. This phenomenon is called supply leakage. The real question then becomes, who fills that gap, and what are their environmental standards like? If production simply shifts to countries with lower environmental regulations and higher emissions per barrel, the net effect on global emissions could be negative. We might feel good about cutting our own production, but it could inadvertently make the global climate situation worse. It's time for our first quiz segment. Let's test your knowledge on market dynamics. Question 1. What is the economic term for when a reduction in supply in one region leads to an increase in supply elsewhere? Question 2. True or false? Global oil demand is expected to disappear completely within the next 5 years. Question 3. Which of these factors has the biggest immediate impact on global oil prices? Local protests, a major supplier halting production, or a new electric car launch? Question 4. If Canada stopped exporting oil, would its closest trading partners likely seek oil from suppliers that are geographically closer or further away? Question 5. What does the concept of fungibility mean in the context of global oil markets? Let's recap what we've covered so far. The core idea is supply leakage. Cutting production in one responsible country doesn't eliminate global demand. Instead, it often shifts production to other nations, which may not have the same environmental standards. This can lead to a net increase in global emissions, undermining the original goal. Chapter 2: Emissions intensity versus absolute cuts. There are two ways to think about emissions: the total amount, or absolute emissions, and the amount of carbon emitted per unit of production, which is called emissions intensity. While cutting production to zero is an absolute cut, it ignores the progress made in technology. Canada's oil sector has been a leader in developing technologies to lower its emissions intensity. Innovations like carbon capture, utilization, and storage, or CCUS, and improved extraction methods are significantly reducing the carbon footprint of each barrel. So, the debate isn't just about producing or not producing. It's also about producing smarter. If a country with lower emissions intensity stops producing, and a country with higher intensity takes its place, the planet's atmosphere doesn't care about intentions. It only registers the total increase in carbon. Time for our second quiz. This one is all about emissions facts. Question 6. What does the term emissions intensity refer to in oil production? Question 7. Name one technology used to reduce carbon emissions at the source of oil production. Question 8. True or false? All barrels of oil produced globally have the same carbon footprint. Question 9. If country A has an emissions intensity of 40 kilograms of CO2 per barrel and country B has an intensity of 80 kilograms, which country's production is cleaner on a per barrel basis? Question 10. Does investing in technology to lower emissions intensity contribute to climate goals, even if absolute production doesn't stop? Let's do a quick recap of Chapter 2. The key takeaway is the difference between absolute cuts and reducing emissions intensity. Focusing only on eliminating production overlooks the vital role of technology. Lowering the carbon footprint of each barrel through innovation is a powerful tool in the climate fight, and displacing cleaner barrels with dirtier ones is counterproductive. We are halfway through our deep dive. Thank you for joining me on this analytical journey. If you're finding this breakdown valuable, consider liking the video and subscribing for more content that goes beyond the surface. Your support helps us create these detailed explorations. Let's move on to our third quiz, focusing on strategy and economics. Question 11. Besides jobs, name one way the oil and gas sector contributes to a country's economy. Question 12. What is the term for the reliance of a country on other nations for its energy needs? Question 13. True or false? A country's energy policy can affect its international relationships and alliances. Question 14. From a strategic perspective, why might a country prefer to source energy from a stable, democratic ally? Question 15. If a country loses a major source of revenue, what is one potential impact on its government's ability to fund public services like healthcare and education? Time for our third recap. We've seen that the consequences of cutting oil production extend far beyond the environment. There are significant economic impacts, including job losses and reduced funding for public services. Geopolitically, it affects energy security for allied nations, potentially shifting the global balance of power toward less stable regions. Chapter 4. The Path to Net Zero. The ultimate goal is reaching net zero emissions. But how we get there matters. The debate often frames the solution as a simple choice: eliminate fossil fuels or do nothing. But there's a third way: innovation over elimination. This approach focuses on aggressively investing in and deploying technologies that decarbonize our existing energy systems while simultaneously scaling up renewables. This includes advancing carbon capture, developing hydrogen as a clean fuel, and improving energy efficiency across all sectors. A path to net zero that includes a technologically advanced, low-emission oil and gas sector can provide the energy the world needs during the transition, without sacrificing our economic stability or energy security. It's about transforming our energy systems, not dismantling them overnight. Here is our final quiz segment, all about the future outlook. Question 16. What does the term net zero mean? Question 17. Besides renewables like wind and solar, name another potential clean energy source for the future. Question 18. What is the primary goal of carbon capture, utilization, and storage, or CCUS technology? Question 19. True or false? The transition to a net zero economy can happen instantly without disrupting global energy supplies. Question 20. Does an innovation over elimination strategy mean we continue with business as usual, or does it require significant investment in new technologies? Let's recap our final chapter. The path to net zero is complex and requires a strategy of innovation, not just elimination. By focusing on decarbonizing all sectors, including oil and gas, through technology and investing in a diverse range of clean energy sources, we can build a sustainable future. This approach allows for a stable transition that maintains economic and energy security. So, let's bring it all together. Would cutting Canadian oil help the climate? When we look at the full picture, the answer is not a simple yes. A unilateral cut could lead to supply leakage, potentially increasing global emissions if dirtier producers fill the gap. It overlooks the power of technology to reduce the carbon intensity of production, and it would trigger significant economic and geopolitical instability, affecting both Canadians and their allies. The more effective path appears to be one of transformation, leading the world in technological innovation to produce the world's cleanest energy, driving down emissions intensity, and paving a realistic and stable road to net zero for everyone. It's a challenge of how, not if, we produce energy. Thank you for watching and for thinking critically with me about this important topic. If this analysis gave you a new perspective, please consider sharing it. Subscribe for more deep dives into the complex issues shaping our world. See you next time.